Yo, what's up guys, my name's Sam. I am a photographer and filmmaker based here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and something that I personally love to shoot the most is street photography. Ever since this whole pandemic happened, for obvious reasons I haven't been going out to shoot, but ever since like the Malaysian government lifted the lockdown, I've been taking every chance and opportunity I get to go out and take as many photos as possible. And today, something really exciting for me personally is I want to talk about why I use the Canon 1DX Mark III for street photography. But I think what I want to do first is kind of show you how I shoot with a little quick POV behind the scenes. So I was using this is the Canon 35mm 1.4 II, and you know what, let's just go straight into it and we'll talk about why I use this camera. Right, this one I know you have to press here. Okay. Yeah, because I don't like to set it automatic. bit wider. So, welcome back. That was a quick POV of how I shoot a little bit on the street. Another day was a little bit empty for some weird reason, or maybe the areas that I was going to was a little bit quiet, but I think got some really nice photos. Why do I shoot with the Canon 1DX Mark III? So admittedly, yes, I understand it's a little bit unorthodox nowadays. Everybody's looking to the smallest camera possible, the lightest camera possible. You want to make it as unobtrusive as possible, and I totally get all those points. So before I start, I do want to preface this by saying that it really doesn't matter what kind of camera you use. I have shot with like the EOS R that's shooting me right now, the 5D Mark IV, a 650D, even with my phone. I've shot with compact cameras, just about any other camera that you can imagine, because I think for me it's more important the final image that counts, not so much the gear that you're using. I truly believe that gear also plays a matter into the images that you want to create. If the gear that you use is really good, it just helps you get the image much better. You know, you don't have to struggle with, for example, low light if you're shooting with a smaller aperture lens and things like that. So gear does play into a part, especially in the creative process. Like, you're not limited so much to what you can do. Yeah, so I just want to reiterate, don't worry about the gear. It's just nice to see different perspectives from different photographers and how they use their gear to get the images that they want. So the first reason, which might be the most obvious, is I already own this camera, so there is no real reason to not use it. I didn't want to go out specifically just to buy a new camera just for street photography. That would have been an ideal choice. For all of us, we work with what we have, and it doesn't really make sense to spend like a couple of thousand just to go and buy a camera specifically for street photos. Unless you have the cash, of course, by all means, just go for it. And as I said before, use the gear that you have, not wish you had a specific kind of gear before you go in and shoot. So obviously that was more of a minor point, but the second point, which is one that's quite important for me, is actually the autofocus on this. Both in live view and in your optical viewfinder, obviously the traditional method of focusing, each way I focus, it's always going to be accurate. It's always going to be where I want it to be, at least 99% of the time. I'll just give you an example. When I was shooting with the EOS R, it kind of struggled a little bit, and I think that was mainly down to dual pixel autofocus. Don't get me wrong, DPF is a fantastic autofocusing system, but sometimes it can get a little bit confusing, and just having the ability to go into my OVF really helps a lot. Just helps me be a lot more versatile in different kinds of situations. And I find that sometimes the EOS R hunts, or it doesn't focus on specific points that I want it to. And that's where this one really comes into play. So generally what I'm doing is I'm either on like a group AF or auto AF, and the reason why for that is because I normally shoot at a lower depth of field, maybe like f5.6 to maybe f4 depending, or if I really want to specific shots, maybe 1.4, but most of the time I'm pretty stopped down, and thanks to like Canon's deep AI algorithm, I don't even know how it works, but generally when I'm putting it on auto point selection, it generally focuses more on the face, which is something that I particularly like. The kind of images that I gravitate to are generally more people shots, full frontal shots, where you can see the faces, and when you can see the context of the subject that the subject is in. And I love that it focuses and tracks the face first. And when we're going back to dual pixel AF, it's extremely accurate, especially when you're putting on face detection. It's just very snappy, and that's what I want in a camera. You know, when I'm on the street, I generally don't want to think so much about my gear, so I know I only limit myself to a specific kind of settings. On AV, I'm generally on auto point. And all this just helps me get into the moment when I'm taking photos, and I can trust my camera completely in terms of autofocus, because I know whenever I point the camera at something, it is 99% of the time going to focus on the face, and it's going to focus accurately and quickly. And that's very important for me, because sometimes things just happen on the go as I'm walking by somebody. I just want it to get in focus straight away, and that's what this camera does very well versus the other cameras that I test. So for number 3, something that I think a lot of people might be a little bit apprehensive or might not agree with me is actually the burst rate. So when I'm shooting, I'm generally shooting at the fastest burst rate, and the reason why is because, you know, sometimes I'm just spraying and praying, or like I have a general idea of where my framing is going to be. I just like to be present, and the kind of shots that I like them to be very in your face. Obviously, I'm not as obtrusive as something like Bruce Gilden. I do appreciate those kind of very close-up wide-angle shots because I feel that there's something very engaging about shooting a subject on the street with a wide-angle lens up close. I haven't reached to that point yet, but I'm slowly getting there. And just having that fast burst rate just helps me make sure that within at least 10 shots, I'm going to get at least one shot right. And I know that's already going to piss off a lot of people because they say, oh, you're supposed to just take one photo and that's it. If that's what you want, all power to you. But I think everybody shoots a little bit differently, and for me, it's not how I got the shot, but whether I got the shot at all. And so that's why if I'm using a burst mode, it's always going to help me. It's going to give me a lot more a safety net to make sure that I at least get one of the shots that I want, at least a nice framing that I think is compelling enough. Is it cheating? Maybe, but the photos come out nice, and that's all I really care about. Speaking of drive mode, the next point, which is for me probably the most important one, is the silent shooting. So if you watch the POV back again, you will notice that certain shots you can't really hear my shutter. And there's a good reason for that. It's not because the area was very noisy. Yes, it was noisy, but for the most part, I was always shooting on live view in silent mode. And shooting on silent mode has been the most rewarding and has been the most game-changing experience for me when shooting on the street. Especially when you're shooting with a DSLR that's very noisy like that. Shooting silent mode just helps you be less intrusive in the moment. So when you're just kind of like shooting like that, people don't even know you're taking a photo. And that's what I love. It doesn't disturb anybody when you're in the way. And something about this, the silent shutter on this, there were two major problems that I was having on the R. Is number one, when I was shooting in artificial light, there was a lot of banding, which just made me less versatile of a photographer. If there was fluorescent lights, if there was neon lights, if there was like any sort of artificial light that would be banding across my images, unusable. And number two, if I'm moving fast because of the way I shoot, I just shoot as I'm walking. If you move too fast in the electronic shutter mode on the EOS R, that would be warping. Basically, it's like jello or your rolling shutter. I'm not so sure why it does that. I think it's the way the camera captures it a little bit differently. But on the 1DX Mark III, everything is amazing. Everything is perfect. The only thing, it might be my exposure. For me, this camera makes the most sense on the street because I can shoot silently and I can shoot efficiently, and I can also shoot without worrying that the camera is going to ruin my image through like some weird artifacts that's going on. So really, those are the main reasons as to why I use the camera. It's just the autofocus, it's the speed, and it's the silent shutter. It just makes me more versatile as a photographer. It just helps me get the shots because of the way that I shoot. I shoot with the wide angle lens, generally a 35 or a 24mm, go up close as I'm walking, and all the shot, I know that most of my shots will be in focus and usable. I do want to address a couple of things that some people might be a little bit like, oh my god, you're using such a huge DSLR, people are gonna notice you. And that is the one common misconception that I want to clarify, and that is, no matter what size camera you use, if you bring up your camera, people are going to notice. You can be the most stealthy, you can have the most stealth camera in the world, but people are still going to notice when you take a photo. So for me, it's not so much the size of the camera, but the way that I interact with people on the street. If somebody comes up to me and asks me, hey, did you take my photo? I will be, yes, I totally did. And why did you do that? And I usually have like a small physical prints of my street photography that I show them. Hey, I'm a street photographer. I just love capturing candid moments of people. And if they ask me to delete, I'll just delete the photos. No arguments, no nothing. I rather have my really expensive camera safe with me and my eyes. I want to be safe. So if people ask me to delete, I'll delete. But I'm very honest and upfront if anybody wants to ask me anything if I'm shooting on the street. And that should be your attitude versus like, oh, I want to be like as sneaky as possible. I shoot like that, then I'm just going to like pretend I'm not shooting anything. Obviously, there are certain things that you do to make people more comfortable around you, like just pretending to shoot something else and then you aim for them. But you don't want to be like, just like like that and then just go down. You know, imagine if you saw somebody do that, and I've seen a lot of street photographers do that. I have had street photographers take people of me and they think that I didn't notice them, but because I know the techniques that people do, you know, it's obvious. It's just like that. It's sneaky, and it's very it's uncomfortable to watch if you are on the receiving end. So it doesn't matter the size of the camera, it's how you shoot that's most important. I do want to say that yes, I admit that this is a little bit heavy at times. If I'm shooting for an hour or two, and if I'm just holding it on my wrist and I'm not using it on the strap, you do feel it on your wrist, especially if you're using something like a heavy lens, these heavy prime lenses. It can get a little bit tiring, and I also admit it's a little bit scary to go out with a really expensive camera into some dodgy area and not knowing what's going to happen. So I can't really find anything negative about this camera to shoot. I think the 20 megapixels are more than enough. I'm more than happy to crop my photos up to 50%, because there's something very unique about the 1DX images, that they're very detailed and sharp even though they are 20 megapixels, even though it's only a 20 megapixel image. Obviously, if you're posting on Instagram, online, 20 megapixels is more than enough, but it's also more than enough to crop because of the detail and resolution. I've gotten more usable images out of this than I have with any other camera that I've owned, and I think that speaks a lot as to why I choose this camera, because I can just get good images and I don't have to worry so much. But once again, I do want to say that you don't have to go out of your way to buy a 1DX just to take street photos. I just want to remind everyone that you choose a camera for the type of photos that you shoot based on the specs that you want, not so much whether it's the best camera. For me, a small compact camera is not really my preference, but for other people, a smaller compact camera or maybe a more premium compact camera might be the way, because you like something that's not so big in your face, obtrusive, and that's perfectly fine. It's how you use the camera and how the specs of those camera help you shoot and get the images that you want, but not so much a specific camera that's out there. Always look for what works for you versus what people tell you is the best. Look for opinions, look for suggestions, but ultimately you have to decide how you shoot and what you are comfortable with, and that's really how you get good images. It's not the camera, it's how comfortable you are and how well you know your camera. So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please do let me know down in the comments below. Let me know what sort of camera you use, because I love to know what other people are using for their street photos. If you have any questions, also you can drop me a DM on Instagram here and here. It's crazy time right now. I hope everyone's staying safe. Thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.